Okay. Time is up. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer your final question if you haven't already, and then we will go over answers. Okay, number 1 is C. Number 2 is J. Number 3 is B. Number 4 is G. Number 5 is D. Number 6 is G. Number 7 is D. Number 8 is H. Number 9 is A. And 10 is H. Does anybody need any of those repeated? Okay, does anybody have questions over any of these?
Number 2 and 7.
Okay. Number 2 says, Joe can most accurately be described as, and so the answer for this one is engrossed and dedicated. And if you don't know what engrossed means, that means like completely consumed almost. And so he's like completely consumed with football. So that's why that's that answer. And then 7 is, which of the following statements most accurately expresses Mark's feelings after the loss? And so he is angered by his team's failure to defeat the inferior team. And that's just because they talk about, like, saying, like, we had this and then we lost it. And so, and then, you know, it talks about how he was so mad. And, like, they go to the bus and they're all mad and all of that. What one did you pick for 7?
I chose A.
Oh, okay. I feel like in this case they didn't really see anything leading up to it because they were like, we had that, they sucked, and we got it. Like, we should have won that. Okay. Any other questions?
10.
Okay. 10 says, according to the passage, the reason the final play of the game is crucial to the success of the entire season is that, so this is on line 18, and it says, this is it, guys. Mark was yelling. We've been practicing for 4 months this season and for 3 more years before that. It's time we score and take home a win. Let's get it done. And so basically it's just saying that it's late in the season because they've been practicing for 4 months. And, in the season after many weeks of preparation. So just that it's like the last game they'll ever play, especially since they said they've been practicing 3 years before that. Makes it seem like they're seniors. Any other questions?
1 and 5.
1 and 5. Okay. Number 1 says, Joe would most likely agree with which of the following statements about the relationship between the players on his team. And so the answer for this one is the players work very hard at a common goal and provide support for one another to achieve it. And so a lot of people would probably get this one wrong just because they would think they don't provide support because they were mad at each other at the end of the game. But it's not that they don't provide support for each other. It's just that they were really upset because they all came together, especially that line that we just read, 18 to 22. That really shows that they all have a common goal to win and also that they are working together and supporting each other to get there. And then the next one was 5. And it says the main point of the last paragraph is Joe feels, and I'll just read it. It says, his men had turned over possession of the ball and time ran out on the game. We had them beat, Mark hissed at Joe as they walked slowly off the field. They were dead tired. We should have won the game. Their one chance was gone, and now they had to endure the other team's celebration on the field. Joe's team never liked losing, but having come so close to a victory that day meant their last-minute defeat would be especially disappointing. So it's just showing that he's just really upset by the loss of the game, especially since it was like their very last one. Okay, any others? Okay. Then we will move on to passage 2. This one, I am going to give 15 seconds less, so 8 minutes 30 seconds. And yeah, that's all I really have to say. So, 8 minutes 30 seconds, your time starts now. Okay, time's up. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer your final question. Okay, number 11 is B. 12 is H. 13 is D. 14 is H. 15 is B. 16 is G. 17 is C. 18 is J. 19 is A. And 20 is F. Okay, does anybody need any of those repeated? Okay, does anybody have questions over any of these?
13 and 19.
Okay.
15 and 17.
Okay.
16.
Okay, any others? Okay, so 13 to 19, but no 18, I think. So, starting with 13, this says, according to the passage, some people reject Americana because, and so this is on line 30, and it says, some sociologists, anthropologists, and cultural experts lament the steady decline of distinct national, ethnic, and cultural identities as omnipresent American influence overpower ancient traditions and beliefs. Which is a big mouthful, basically just saying that Americana is taking away from like indigenous and other types of cultures. So then that would be D. Then 14 says, according to the passage, the spread of American influence resulted in which of the following in certain foreign countries? So this is on 49, and it says, they point to jobs created as well as the modernization of infrastructure that comes with American commerce. So in the three that they give you, the jobs created would be increased number of jobs, which is 1. And then modernized infrastructure is the modernization of infrastructure. So 2 is also correct, and the one that's not stated is 3. So the answer is H, 1 and 2. Then 15, this says, the passage suggests that tourist resorts in Mexico, and it says, is struggling to, or are struggling to maintain their cultural identity. And this is where they talk about how, let's see, on line 31, 6, 7, 8, look at the typical Mexico tourist resort. Only 50 years ago, the sleepy towns were still untouched by commercial development. They held their local culture close. Now, however, grand international hotels tower above the traditional colonial architecture. A walk down the main thoroughfare in a tourist town could reveal a plethora of American businesses. The local cantinas and native boutiques are losing the battle against large American corporations. So it's B, are struggling to maintain their cultural identity. Then 16, this says, the passage indicates that America's influence on Japanese culture, that it, and this is 61, and it says, America left a pervasive cultural footprint on the country. Although the Japanese people have embraced many American concepts and products, they have maintained a distinct culture that is rich in the traditions of the past but open to Western ideas. So the answer for this one is G, led to a harmonious blend of American and Japanese ideas, because it's saying that they're willing to go to like the Western side of the world and bring that in, but they're also sticking with what they know. And then 17, this says it can be reasonably inferred from the passage that if American cultural influences continue to infiltrate foreign markets, those markets, and the answer is going to be the third option, and that's also C, could either benefit or be harmed. And this is kind of a vague answer, but it's just saying that they either are going to do well from the American markets, like the talking about, you know, the Japanese people are doing better and things like that, but then also heard it like talking about the Mexican resorts and how they're losing a lot of their culture there. And then, did you want to do 18? Or no? Or was it 19?
It was 19.
Okay. So the 19 says, according to the passage, the Indonesian street vendors sold, and this is line 3. And it says he stops by a small street vendor to look at the goods for sale. What he sees shocks him. T-shirts and posters promoting American football, baseball, basketball teams, brand name American food and drink, and an assortment of other items of Americana. So it's just American sports memorabilia. Yeah. Okay. Then, if there are no more questions, we will jump to passage 3. This is a split passage, so remember that you have to read A and then do A's questions, read B, do B's questions, and then the questions over both. Make sure that you guys are taking good notes on this one because this is where they're going to try and trick you and have close details in both. But I will give you guys 8 minutes 45 seconds because normally the split passage takes people longer. Your time starts now. Okay, time is up. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to answer your final question, and then we will go over answers. Okay, so 21 is B. 22 is G. 23 is B. 24 is J. 25 is A. 26 is G. 27 is C. 28 is H. 29 is A. And 30 is F. Does anybody need any of those repeated? Okay, does anybody have questions over any of these?
25 and 28.
Okay. Anybody else?
$21. 27.
Last call? Anybody? Okay, so starting with 21, this says, the main emphasis of the second paragraph in passage A, which is 11 through 29, regarding the realist approach is that basically that it's B, it regained popularity during the Renaissance. Other than that, A, it says despite fluctuations in its popularity, it is an enduring style. Although that could be mentioned, it's not like the main idea of that paragraph. C says it was the only formal style of painting in ancient Rome. Again, that's not the main idea of the whole paragraph. It's just saying how it regained popularity really in the Renaissance, and then how it's kind of affected things after that. And then D, while it was popular during the Renaissance, it fell out of favor shortly thereafter. The second part I definitely wouldn't agree with. It's saying how like it's kind of led to other things, not necessarily that it just went away. Then the next one is 25. This says, the author of passage B indicates that post-impressionism as compared to impressionism is, this is on 43. It says, post-impressionism is one example of a style that grew out of the naturalistic form of impressionism. Post-impressionism uses form and color to reflect art in a more personal and subjective way than its predecessor. So it's A, more personal. 27 says, with which of the following statements would the authors of A and B likely agree? And so this is going to be C. Impressionism paved the way for many other creative artistic styles. So on A, this is first, like the main point is 36, the line 36. Impressionistic style is popular with both art collectors, and that is not the right line. Well, I guess it could, yes it does. It's impressionistic style is popular with both art collectors and museum goers, and that's showing that it goes with other creative styles, aka meaning like not just different types of art styles, but like, you know, you could be an art critic and an artist and da-da-da-da. And then basically the entire passage for B is just talking about how it led to different types of art expressions, but then also ways that it did that with art jobs, but not necessarily jobs, you know what I mean though. And then the last one, 28, it says, based on the two passages, how did Van Gogh stray from the impressionistic style? This is 52. It says, Vincent van Gogh, a well-known artist, adapted impressionism to his own unique method. Although a real school of thought never followed his style of painting, he is nonetheless regarded as a brilliant painter for his bold, bright, and even larger and bolder brushstrokes. So H is the correct answer. He used large, bold brushstrokes. Okay. Does anybody have any more questions? Okay. Let me see how much time we would have. I think we can be good for today because we will be going just over 8, so I'll let you guys out a couple minutes early, or over 6, not 8. But I will see you guys next time.